Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Popple, and today I am super excited. We have an amazing guest coming on today. Noel Liu is a graduate from NYU College of Dentistry. He is a highly skilled and compassionate general dentist. He's the co-founder of Secure Dental with multiple locations. He is also the founder of Dentiva, a dental virtual administration company focused on back-end tasks for dental offices. Dr. Liu is renowned in the field for his expertise and trustworthiness. And apart from dental ventures, why we have him on the show today, he is passionate about mentoring associate doctors, helping them transition from students to clinicians using his model. He is also a real estate investor in over 1,300 units. So we can't wait to learn how he grew his portfolio. So without further ado, let's bring on Dr. Liu.
How's it going? Thanks for having me, Sam. I appreciate it, and it's a real honor and a pleasure to be on your pod.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to have you. We were connected by a previous guest who had an awesome episode, Tom Varghese. I understand that you guys are partnered on some deals together, so I'm excited to hear about that. But let's just go ahead and get started so the guests can learn about you. Tell us about life before real estate, childhood.
Love it.
The early stuff that led you into where you are now.
Absolutely. So I'm a general dentist by trade, and I was born in a dental family. My dad's a dentist, and since we came here, that's all he wanted one of us to do was one of his kids. So we are like 4 siblings, and he wanted one of us to be a dentist, and I'm the only one in the family. Like you would say, you either call it a good thing or a bad thing, right? So I did my dentistry. Graduated out of New York University College of Dentistry. This was back in 2007, just before the bubble of the housing crisis. And at that time, when I graduated, everything seemed good. I had no clue what was going on in the real estate market, nor in the stock market. I was just freshly out of school. My whole focus was to let's get on with business and let's start making some money because we have a huge student debt loan, right?
Right.
So student loans got to be paid off. So that was my first and foremost a priority at that time. Like most dentists, we come out of school, 0 skills in investments, 0 skills in business. And all we're doing is basically just bread and butter dentistry, just turning the wheel. It's like hamster on a wheel. And so that was my beginning with the dental career. I found my passion in the business of dentistry side. And that's when we started opening our practices. So my first practice was back in 2012. Basically my wife and myself. So we are like a husband and wife team.
Is she a dentist too?
She's a dentist too.
Awesome.
She's a dentist too. And we started working and we started multiplying our locations. We did have ups and downs like any entrepreneurs, made a lot of mistakes almost to a point where we were bankrupt. This was back in 2017. And that's a time when we realized that everybody was investing, like all our colleagues are investing. What are they investing in? And, we find out it's, with mutual funds, with stocks and bonds, just the regular stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, Sam, I never understood stocks. I never understood bonds. I'm like, I'm going to give my money to this guy who's working for a paycheck, and he's going to take my money and going to invest it somewhere. I don't even know, like, how to read the stock market papers or when, the market goes up or down. No idea.
I 100% agree. I've always kind of thought of the stock market as, man, it's things look great, but it's like there's so much that can happen that's completely out of your control. Like you're basically putting your money in it and you're betting on all these other people that they're going to do the right thing and it's going to go up. But it's just like there's nothing in your control once you buy a share of a stock of a Fortune 500 company. It's all you can do as much research as you want, but at the end of the day, if Enron cooks the books on you,
100%,
you're
100%. And these financial advisors, what drove me nuts was they still got paid regardless if the stock went up or down, or regardless if you lost money or not. And that kind of ticked me away a little bit from these kind of traditional vehicles. And then my accountant came up and said, hey, you should invest in IRA, Roth IRA. This is tax free or tax, deferred. Well, even that was kind of out of my league at that time, because all we were doing is, Sam, like any dentist, just taking what we learned in dental school, doing the best dentistry, knowing know-hows about financials, know-hows about investments. And, I was really intrigued with real estate, but I never knew how to get started.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest challenge. Um, I always used to watch. So then COVID hit, and we were just home. And I was just watching all this other stuff because there was no work, right?
Right.
So I was just looking around online and, just trying to absorb about real estate. I did not even know what a cap rate was at that time. I'm like, cap rate? What the hell is a cap rate?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I was looking at different comps. I'm like, what is a comp? And, none of those terms made sense. And all of a sudden, one day I was watching and Grant Cardone comes up. And I'm like, all right, cool. This guy is doing a summit, a live summit after like all these months when we were virtual. You know what? I'm going to go to this one. I'll definitely want to check it out and see what's going on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now I'm curious, just because like I'm just really was blown away when I was reading of your bio and stuff about the businesses that you've kind of created within the dentist industry. So is that all stuff you've done prior to real estate, or was that
Prior.
Okay, yeah, man, that's all really cool, because you see a lot of people go into dental career or medical career,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't create a huge business around it. They're strictly that dentist or that doctor that gets paid from seeing patients, taking care
Right.
of patients, and that. So I mean, I was pretty fascinated, by all the
Thanks.
stuff you did in the dental industry.
But it doesn't come easy, right? I
Right.
had a good mentor, and the key with mentorship is you got to understand, like, you got to follow people who have done what you want to do, and that's what I mimicked and copied. So it kind of helped me path my way what I wanted to do. But in real estate, man, that I had nobody.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I just literally had to learn step by step by step. And the first deal that came up, we were like, all right, let's go in. No, last minute cold feet, then we backed out. Then the second deal came up, we were like, all right, let's go in, and then we backed out.
Mhm.
Finally, we with that summit, that kind of opened my doors to a lot of networking and a lot of people that actually did real estate. And prior to that, we were always having cold feet. By the time we got to a deal, we wanted to invest, we just backed out. From there, I started learning what exactly real estate was, what it does, how do you depreciate, how do you do all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's a good sign that we did not get in without knowing. And
Mhm.
that's my message to a lot of people. It's get educated first, right? You got to know what you're getting into. And when you meet people, network is a key, because those guys are actually unlocking a lot of different deals, a lot of different propositions, mainly ideas, masterminding. And I think that kind of changed my trajectory, like moving forward in terms of real estate. So that's where I met Tom, my buddy and my partner.
Cool.
Yeah.
'Cause I usually ask one of my early questions is who inspired you to get into real estate. So it sounds like it was a Grant Cardone video that kind of like sparked it, and then then you
Yeah.
met Tom at the event.
Tom at the event, and I met a lot of other people, and they were part of different groups now. So I was like, oh my goodness, it's not only Cardone. Now we got Rod's group, then we got Sumrock's group, you know, we have bigger pockets going on. So I'm like, wait a minute, what are all these guys like, teaching? Like, let me just check it out.
Right.
And that's where I started diving a little bit more deeper. And that's where I learned how to underwrite deals, how to, negotiate with brokers. And little did I know, like, sooner or later, I was speaking the same language, because at the summit, I was the only dentist out of 2,500 people. And right there and then, I signed up for the mastermind with Cardone. Again, the investment was pretty huge at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I signed up. It was for a year. We used to have, weekly Zoom calls. And, we learned a lot. But more than that, I think we formed relationships with a lot of people. And that transpired into opening up more doors for us.
Awesome. So tell us kind of about life today. How's everything going with real estate? We know you've how those first few deals like that. You kind of I guess let's start on those first couple deals and then work to life today.
All right. So the first couple of deals, deal number one, not so good. We invest, not we, when I say we, means me and my wife. Tom and I were in different deals now. But, my wife and I, we invested in this one multifamily. And these were the guys that I met at the Sumrock group. Again, it was probably my weakness, you would say, my inexperience at that time, that I invested with people. And let's put it this way, that deal foreclosed.
Okay.
Six digits went down the drain. Again, it's an investment. It's got risk. We all know that, right? But what I've learned over time was we gotta invest in people who actually know what they're doing, who are actually operators, like true operators, and who actually have the track record and experience. You know, what drives me nuts still today is most of these guys are coming in. They have their W-2 jobs, and they have they're doing these deals on the side on weekends, and they're not really on site to manage the properties.
Mhm.
And for me, as a business entrepreneur, I know exactly how hands-on you need to be with every individual
Right.
deals, right? You got to have boots on the ground like at all times. And for a lot of people, like it may be like it's an investment, but however, I think it's an operation. It's a full-on business running just one apartment complex, yet alone, like, they're trying to syndicate like, two or three of them.
Right. What were the things that went wrong in that initial deal that led to foreclosure? If you don't mind, sharing it with the audience. Because there's so many people that share only about the wins, and no one wants
Right.
to talk about you can really lose in this. And
You
so
could.
I'm gonna ask you next after you help with this. What inspired you to keep going? Because a lot of people, once they lose, $100,000 or a six-figure amount, it's like I'm out of that. So obviously you knew that there was still good that happened. You just were with a bad operator. So what went wrong in the bad operation? And then tell us, what made you keep going.
So one aspect I would say a bad operator in the sense that lack of boot on the ground kind of experience, like property management and who's actually taking care of the property and who's in charge. That's number one. Number two was being truly like eagerly exaggerated up, kind of mindset of being optimistic for the future, right? So when the tide is high, all the ships are high, right? We heard that saying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what happened in 2021 when every real estate was doing great.
Right.
And that's where the interest rates were really low. What I would say is probably lack of projection and lack of due diligence on the property that we were investing in. Like at that time, every deal looked solid. Every deal looked like it's going to make you money.
Well, and I remember that time period too. It was like everyone just thought, the wave was never gonna
Right.
crash like it because interest rates fell. I mean, it was a bidding war on every property.
Mhm.
So
It was,
highest and best.
especially multifamily.
Was it? Oh yeah.
Especially multifamily, right? I mean, everybody was bidding on it, and everyone was getting bridge loans, right? All right, being really, really aggressive on like 2.5, 3% on interest rates. Okay, let's do this. Let's buy it, and we'll rehab it, and then we'll sell it for a profit. We'll flip it in 3 to 5 years. It was all sounding good until the tide went down,
Right.
and that's when everybody's deal they got him on the back end.
Yeah, no, definitely, because everybody didn't see the rates. I mean, almost like tripling in some cases, like what they were when the properties were purchased. I mean, clear doubles. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, definitely just shooting up, and it's just at that point, people who thought they would be able to refinance on the back end or do something like that, and then not to mention, I mean, I'm over here in Florida, and I know you're in Texas, and both those states have had some insurance stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm in Illinois.
Oh,
Texas is
Illinois. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
buddy.
sorry.
Yeah, my
Yeah, yeah,
buddy Tom.
yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Well, but you're aware because I know you're investing with Tom in some of the locations where the insurance has also been a factor. Um,
Precisely.
yeah.
So it's like a multitude of things, right? The interest rates went up, the insurances went up. Then once when we traded, the property taxes went up. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, shoot, we did not really account for all this."
Right.
And that's where the underwriting fell short. And that's what I feel like a lot of times, if guys are not doing this full time, they are not really experienced to know what's going to come up, because we know for a fact that every season is different. Same thing with business. Like we know for a fact there's going to be a winter, there's going to be a summer, there's going to be a fall, and there's going to be a spring.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with real estate. It's always a cycle. And a
Right.
lot of guys actually in this industry, like, they actually did warn me that, hey, listen, this is going to be a bubble. Something's going to happen. We don't know when, but something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys who are new at this, like myself, think about me with no experience, right? And syndicating a brand new deal on my own. And then I'm the main GP guy. I'm the main general partner, and I'm trying to assemble a team. How's that going to work out?
Right.
Right at that time, I mean, Tom and I, we always joke around. We are like, hey, always bet on the jockey. So for us to ever even syndicate a deal, we'll make sure that we have guys who have, track record, who has the experience and who knows the know-how. And lastly, I would say the biggest thing is having the liquidity
Right.
to save a deal.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big one, because I mean, as we talked about, I mean, just so many people kind of undercapitalize the plan, like I said, not planning for that extra increases in the rates and the insurance, and quickly to go illiquid. So I'm assuming that's what then happened on the deal in Texas that went into foreclosure. Did a capital call, and everyone was like, "We're done."
They did a capital call. They did get some money in, but it wasn't enough. And of course, my thing is, okay, we should have kind of foreseen this, because once we got in the deal, before we even got in the deal, we knew there was some units that were under fire, right? So it was a fire burn, like the whole building. It had like, I think 9 complexes in there. So they were trying to rehab that whole thing. But apparently, I don't know what happened, was then they had a high crime rate and et cetera, et cetera. And then the whole shebang of stuff came over. So pretty much they gave up on that deal.
Gotcha. So what gave you the courage to keep moving forward with the next deal? So is that around the time you decided like you're only gonna bet on yourself and start?
Yeah, for a timing, I took a little break, honestly, and the other deal that we are in, it's not doing that great. Occupancy is just falling by the day, and it's crazy. Like, that's another multifamily. So the stuff that keeps me going, I know for a fact real estate is a long-term investment, right? We know it's going to come back.
Right.
We definitely know. The question is, how long can we hang in?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can hang in for long enough, we will come through. And that's a key. But how can we hang in without liquidity, without capital calls, without all that stuff, right? And what's the guarantee that something's going to transpire out of this? So for me, it's more about switching gears. So Tom and I, we kind of stepped away a little bit from multifamily, and now we are mainly in storage and flex industrial.
I love it. That's yeah. I loved it when he was talking about that. I was really interested in getting into some of the industrial flex space myself after listening to Tom's episode. So tell it. Let's go ahead and bring it to full present. Like how much of the storage units in the flex space are you currently in?
So with Tom, we are in about 3 deals.
Okay.
And believe it or not, Sam, they are 100% occupied at all times. Now you'll be asking, like, why is that? When I said 3 deals, 3 flex in industrials, which is like 1,000 to 2,000 square feet of space. It has a little office front on one side and a garage door on the back side, like about 20, 25 feet ceilings. One thing I like about those guys, it's because it's all been occupied by tradesmen. It's been occupied by blue collar workers. You can have even a retail store in there, and it's like a dual kind of use space, right? I mean, I'm in Peoria. I'm in Illinois, central Illinois, middle of nowhere, right? And they build and they go. They build and they go. I mean, it's that hot. So if it's that hot, I can already see like what's happening in Texas, down in Houston, down in Dallas. These guys have the businesses in there, like electricians. You got the plumbers. We got the HVAC guys. And all they're doing is running businesses out of that space. So we don't have that issue with multifamily, like, the eviction problems or any kind of like not paying their rent problems, because their businesses are running out of that space. So we have some degree of protection over there. And for it to be like, like 100% occupied, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, I mean that was definitely some of the things that I saw great about it. I mean, I love the idea of renting to a professional client is always better.
100%.
Renting to a residential. In my experience, you pretty much. I've done a lot of self managing on my own rentals and for my family on a lot of single families and stuff like that. And man, almost every time you get a call from one of your tenants, you got to hear about a personal problem. And you want to be caring, but it's at the same time, like they're telling you all these problems that are their problems in their life of why they can't pay you. And
that's no problem.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I hear you, that sucks, but I rented it to you because I knew I was going to get the $1,500 on the first, so
100%.
Yeah, but yeah, you don't generally have that with a business because of the business not only are they a business, but they have their own reputation to keep, too. So I mean, it's just I just think it's definitely a higher quality deal.
No, 100%, man. I mean, you think about it with residential, you got their personal guarantee, but their personal guarantee is only as good as whatever they're making, right? Or whatever they
Right.
have. And then you got the whole, the politics involved in this because you have the laws that's going to be helping to protect them.
Right.
You know,
Definitely. That's something I've told. That's the biggest difference in
right.
residential commercial real estate is you can't put just anything in a residential lease. There's all kinds of how there's the state housing committees that regulate the laws that tell you the maximum late fees you can charge and things like that. Versus the commercial lease is the wild, wild west, for lack of better word. I mean, you can whatever you put in there and you both agree to is law.
The best part is these leases are triple nets, right?
Right.
And they're like a little bit longer term than your residential. Residential is like what, a year?
Right, exactly.
Or maybe 6 months, right? So it depends on which deal. But with commercials, you're looking at least 3 to 5 to even longer. And if a toilet breaks down, you're not fixing it.
Exactly. No, man. Okay, I'm excited where this is going. So now that we're, I think, caught up to the present, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this part one here, and we'll come back for part two where we can really dive into what you're looking to be doing over these next 12 months and over your lifetime, and go a little bit deeper into the industrial flex space and storage units that you're currently in.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, guys, we appreciate Noel Liu for coming on the show, and we will see him in part two. So stay tuned and check us out on the Elite Real Estate Podcast.
Thanks.